How's it going, folks? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going through a bit of news. It's like a pockets of news, so kind of like a news roundup. There's been quite a lot going on, from Dustborn to Wukong to people breaking down because of the Series S, and that's mainly regarding Wukong. There's also other bits of news with Stalker 2, Call of Duty Copium. I mean, that launched yesterday on beta, closed beta for Xbox and PC, and I think today it's available now on PlayStation as well. But man, this is absolutely lots of bits of pockets of news. But the Wukong drama is now just becoming a little bit untenable. A lot of people are really upset about this, and some of them rightly so. There's no real understanding as to what the exact issue is. There's, everything is flying everywhere now. Paul Tassi put out a tweet post saying that it's got nothing to do with the capabilities of the console. I'm pretty sure it is the capabilities of the Series S, but they basically put out a tweet saying that it's an exclusivity deal that Sony put in place, but that kind of doesn't make sense to me. But you know what? A lot of people were talking about the website as well, so I do kind of want to get into that. And let's start with Wukong as the first piece of news right now. So let's change over. So as you can see here, this is the Wukong website. There's really nothing here that actually talks about any platform at all, like none. It's all kind of, everything's been removed, and the only thing that's left here now is this. Now, obviously my head is in the way a little bit, but the exclusivity that they have in place is with UGame, and that is the only partnership that I've been told personally that is in place. So you got Steam, Epic, and in China with UGame. Now, this obviously the striking thing here is that the PS5 and the PC version is in place. The Xbox mention has completely been scrubbed, but that kind of makes sense because it's buy now. It's not available on or anything else like that. If you're clicking on buy now, these are the only platforms it is available to buy. It is not available to buy on anything else. So whether this is actually a situation with Wukong being now, timed exclusive or temporary exclusive, it's unknown. You've got different media outlets saying one thing, you've got others. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, well, all the media is saying the same thing. That is because they're all regurgitating the same exact tweet from Paul Tassi. They're not actually saying anything different. They're all jumping on the same tweet, and they're all reporting on the same tweet. So, yeah, there's more people saying that than not, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this develops. This game is already, at least for the Xbox community, leaving a very, very sour taste in what's happening. Personally, my belief is that, gaming news was slow, so someone decided to put out a post or tell someone something that, could stir up some controversy to get people talking and make some news. The Call of Duty game was just about to release their closed beta, so what would be best with a clockwork bad news drama? Roll on Wukong. That's my personal opinion on this. Anything that's good that's about to happen to Xbox is always met with negativity, bad news, drama. Whether it's a showcase, a game launch, a beta launch, or just news announcement that would be brilliant for Xbox, it has to be overshadowed by issues that don't really matter to that, but it kind of overshadows the overall sentiment, and it gets all X talking about it in a negative fashion. Job complete. And the sad thing is, people are falling for it. We've got Jay here, a really nice guy, but I think he's finally come to the realization that the Series S, he's saying here it's a mistake. I don't believe that it was a mistake. I think the Series S is a very good console. I think it's at a really good price point that can get people to enter. The problem was the parity. And I think he sums it up perfectly here when he says, the best way to handle the Series S situation is to drop parity between it and the Series X. You want the best value console this gen? well, you may as well have to wait for games until a later date. This way, Series X owners don't have to miss out on big games. But I think somewhere along the line is, yeah, here it is. If Xbox does have a handheld and a traditional console next gen, for the love of all things gaming, do not have parity between them. I think that was the biggest mistake, right? The parity between them. If the Series S simply couldn't handle it, there should have been a caveat there to say that it would play it in some way through the cloud, or, you know, just not available. Not available probably is the worst option, but playing it through the cloud should be the option available to them as default, whether you've got access to Game Pass Ultimate or not. Certain games will just by default be enabled because that's the only way you can play them. I think this situation would have actually been resolved itself, but sadly there is parity with the Series S. It only has 8 gigs of memory. No, you know, at the end of the day, there are hardware limitations. It's that simple. Now, this next news here is one that actually is probably going to enrage a lot of people, especially if things are going the way they're going with Xbox, and as they kind of rear off into doing their own thing. This could actually lead to some really, really bad times for gamers in general. It turns out that Larian is saying that games should be more expensive. Baldur's Gate 3 publishing director Michael Dowse thinks that all games should cost more, and claims that the entire industry is just waiting for GTA 6 to normalize big price hitch. Baldur's Gate 3, almost all games should cost more at base level because they cost too much to make. Everyone's just waiting for GTA 6 to do it. And obviously a lot of people are now waiting for the pricing point of GTA 6, one of the biggest games of the generation, the decade, and obviously everyone is expecting a price hike in the game. No one is expecting this game, which cost over $2 billion to make, to be 60 or 70 bucks. It is expected that this game will start retail base edition at 100 bucks. And if you're looking for like the collectors, well, like the deluxe edition or the gold edition, that's going to be like up to $200 or even $250, or, you know, £250. It's going to change the landscape. Now, why did I say that with Xbox rearing off? Well, at the end of the day, there's zero competition there in order to try and keep a price point down. Everyone else will follow. Sony's immediately going to follow suit with that. And at the same time, if Microsoft's going to do their own thing, they will be happy to see the price increase with these games, because that will mean that their Game Pass subscription just becomes even more lucrative when all the games now are starting to be priced at 100 bucks. Obviously, that's not how this is eventually going to pan out. Only a few games people are going to be willing to pay 100 bucks out the door, and game purchases will go down. You know, the amount people invest is going to go down, and so this could be a slippery slope. But it's clear that a lot of these publishers want these prices to increase. They want the base price to increase. Game development isn't cheap. The costs are ballooning, and if a game flops, the studio dies. So this could just be a countermeasure, but I don't think that this is it. I personally find myself right now spending way less at 70 bucks than I did at 60 bucks. I know it's only a 10 bucks different, but psychologically that's pushing me ever closer to 100 bucks. So I'm now a lot more selective in what games I buy. But I don't think this is it. And if we're just looking at the comment section below, it starts to get a little messy, right? It starts to get a bit messy. Baldur's Gate 3 was an exception. Most releases aren't worth 40. Luckily on PC, Steam and GOG have our backs. I rarely play games on launch if you have to wait 6 to 8 months for patches. Ah well, spends another $300 playing RimsWorld. They can be expensive as you like, doesn't mean anyone is willing to buy. So I get it that these publishers are waiting for GTA to lead the market and think that that's going to open up, and maybe it is going to set a new standard, but it's going to be very, very interesting to see every game follow that new pricing if GTA does decide to set it. Hopefully they don't, and these companies like Larian just get, you know, a bit of humble pie. But my assumption is that GTA 6 is going to cost an arm and a leg when it comes out, just for the base edition. So Jay Bari, our good buddy Jade Bari, He's a massive fan of Concord, believes Concord could get Game of the Year. At least that's the way he makes it sound, because he feels like it's the best game ever to come out. Is now saying that Call of Duty is trash. It's arse. It's horrible because he can't win. Now, he's clearly playing an objective-based game. Clearly not playing the objectives along with this other dude here. But apparently because he sucks at the game is arse. And at the same time, my dude is now trying to make it look like that he has to wait for a long time to get into a game of Call of Duty. But says Concord, which has about 5 people left playing, so you can't even fill up a lobby, is actually going to fill up the games faster. I mean, good luck to you. I mean, the cope there is surreal. Nobody playing Black Ops 6 beta. Really. Last night when I was streaming it on Xbox Series X, God, it was amazing. Games were jumping in within 10-15 seconds. Not the 2-3 minutes that I was waiting on Concord. But you know what? You don't need to take my word for it. This is Twitch. 128 viewers. Yeah, let's go, buddy. Let's go. Let's go. Keep that copium going, my dude. Keep that copium. Jeff Keighley's probably watching your tweets, though, so it'll probably get nominated for Game of the Year. Space Marine 2 is doing actually better than expected. You've got Graham McNeil here, who basically is the writer for Warhammer and other aspects of Warhammer in terms of novels and stuff. He's actually super impressed with where this game is right now. He had a really good time and is praising Focus Entertainment for their success. He says, happy to say that Space Marine 2 is a ton of fun, really captures the awesome power of the Astartes, the scale of battle in the 41st millennium, and the visceral horror of endless swarms of Tyranids. I've only scratched the surface so far, but fantastic work from Focus Entertainment. Now, I will also add, there's been this big, kind of uncertainty about whether this game is coming to Game Pass or not, and a lot of people are looking forward to this on Game Pass. You will be disappointed. This game is not going to Xbox Game Pass day one. In fact, it's not on Game Pass at all. The news of it going to Game Pass, I did some reading. It was some really misleading clickbait titles, and if you read the actual articles, they actually then turn around and say that they wish it was on Game Pass, but it's not. So this game is a full retail price. I believe it's $60. It is supposed to be up to 4K upscaling with 30 FPS. 30 FPS. And for consoles, it is going to performance mode. It is going to be 1080p, 60 FPS. The Series S will run this at 1440p, 30 FPS. Why they didn't go 1080p, 60 is unknown. Now, looking at the PC specifications for this, minimum specs are minimum specs, but the recommended specs are pretty decent at 3070, and with a 3070, a i7 12700, 16 gigs of RAM, you are looking to run this game with all the bells and whistles at 1080p 60 FPS. That is the target resolution and the FPS. Obviously, if you have a more powerful graphics card like a 3090, a 4080, a 4090, then you can bump up that resolution a bit more and try and maintain that 60 FPS while you're pushing a higher resolution. But even with a 3070, with all the bells and whistles at 1080p, you'll get a 60 FPS frame rate. But at least with PC, you can modify it to the way you want and get that frame rate. Blizzard Entertainment have announced, they have an unannounced AAA RPG FPS title from Blizzard, and that's about all we know about it. It's coming to PC and console. There's not much information about it. In fact, I wouldn't expect to hear anything, at least for another couple of years. But just know that there are more projects in incubation that will be coming day one to Xbox Game Pass. So, good times. Stalker 2. This one actually bewildered me in how people were turning around and saying that this is okay. This is not okay. The Series S is currently running at 25 FPS. However, the developers are extremely happy with the significant support from Xbox to enhance performance. They are now in the optimization phase. They have till November, so they've actually got, the rest of August, September, October, and November to get it done. I've got no qualms of worry, excuse me, that this is gonna actually be sorted. I would actually go into the article, but no disrespect to WCCF Tech. Their website is so full of ads, it literally crashes my browser, so I can't even go to that place. But Stalker 2, this is kind of, It's not even newsworthy considering there's like 3 months of optimization still to be had there to get it working at a relative 30 FPS on the Series S. It is reported to be 60 FPS on Series X, so that is great news. And yeah, hopefully when this game comes out, it will do really well, because if nothing else, the developers of this game absolutely deserve it. They've been through hell and back, literally, and there's nothing would make me happier than seeing this game do extremely well. And I really do hope that people don't just review bomb this game for the sake of review bombing it. I mean, I know it's going to happen, but this one here, in my belief, is a little different and a little bit more special. So don't do it. Not to these guys. They've already had enough problems in their lives and had their lives disrupted. Let's not ruin their 5-6 years of work that they've had to go through in some of the most horrible conditions. Visions of Mana has launched on Xbox. I have picked it up, I've got it, I'm happy with it. Game is awesome. Plus it's play anywhere on the Xbox version, so you can play it on your PC and your Xbox. Happy days. All good stuff, though the play anywhere has to be through the Microsoft Store. It weirdly doesn't appear on the Game Pass store, so why that is the case is unknown. However, some really sad news. NetEase Games is planning to close Visions of Mana developer Oka Studios. They actually announced this on the launch day. That's brutal. The game is really good. I think it got like a 76 on Metacritic last I checked, but the user score was almost a 90, and clearly people are enjoying it. I'm not really sure why the reviews were giving it such a stick. I didn't bother reading them because I'm having a lot of fun, and that's all that matters to me. But what I will say is, the studio doesn't deserve to be closed down. So if anyone out there is, Microsoft, Sony, I really don't care. If you can save the studio, go for it. The studio doesn't need closing down. And Microsoft, you're looking for ways to get into the Japanese market. You keep saying that. This is a perfect opportunity for you to be able to enter that fray. Save the studio. Dustborn has been a bit controversial as of late. And well, no one is playing the game. You've got 32 in game. That's actually decreased even more since this tweet. No one really bought the game, and it's doing pretty much as bad as you can expect it to do. But they did let out an actual comment. And this is what they said to our community. Since we first announced Dustborn, we've read your comments and listened to your feedback, hopes and wishes for the game. Over the past 4 years, our team has poured their hearts into telling a story that's deeply meaningful to us, a story about the power of words, about building a world where everyone can feel safe, about love, friendship, and robots, of course. We expected Dustborn to spark conversation and debate. Why would you make a game to spark conversation and debate? Leave that to something else. Video games are there to just immerse in and get lost in. But anyway, they decided to go down literally the full agenda route with this game. They even got tax funding from their governments to make this game to try and push an agenda, and it's backfired heavily. And looked forward to engaging with our players in a positive and constructive fashion. Unfortunately, that conversation has been drowned out by a tidal wave of hate and abuse. Well, a lot of people have pushed back on the game because this isn't what they were expecting. We welcome thoughtful feedback and respectful criticism. That's why they actually blocked all their comments, because they don't want to take your feedback or your criticism, or all they want to hear is the positive, none of the constructive feedback. There are going to be toxic feedback in there as well, don't get me wrong, because the game is just awful. We embrace discussion and debate, but we have zero tolerance for hate speech, harassment, threats of any kind. Those who engage in such behavior will be removed from our community. And what community are they actually talking about here? There is no community. To everyone else, thank you for coming on this journey with us. Your support means everything, and your constructive feedback continues to push us to learn and evolve. They've literally blocked all communication. How can anyone give you feedback if you've blocked communication? Together, let's continue building a world where everyone can feel valued, empowered to share stories. And of course, their game is based around cancelling and bullying. Your main character's superpowers, cancelling, bullying. We've learned to bully people. Bully gives us the power to force people to do something they may not want to do, or to make them feel bad about themselves in fights. This could be highly effective on targeted enemies. We've learned how to cancel someone. Cancel will allow us to isolate people from their friends. And I mean, what sort of a game is this? Like, seriously, what sort of a game is this? Like, what is the message that they're trying to push here? You know, it's games like these that shouldn't exist. I mean, fair. I mean, make whatever game you want. But this is a tax-funded game. It isn't even a self-funded game. This is a tax-funded game. Taxpayers' money went into this from governments, and I think that's awful. Absolutely awful. And at this point, they turn around and say that, you know, they're happy with their community of like 5 people. Whatever, man. Whatever rocks your boat, because at this point, this ain't it. And the more this actually happens, the more people are going to reject it and compare it to stuff like this. And even games that may have potentially had a remote chance of being successful, like Concord, a remote chance at that. You know, Jay Barry is still coping for it after all. People are going to opt for this instead because it just has the sex appeal. They don't want this. And the more people try and force you into this, the more people are going to reject it. And making a whole game based on just political agendas and stereotypes, that's just pathetic. That's my opinion anyway. But there we have it. That's the news. Hopefully the Blizzard game turns out to be something cool. The Wukong situation hopefully will resolve by the end of this weekend, because I really am sick of hearing about it and talking about it. And Stalker 2, don't worry about it. They've still got months to optimize the Series S. It's going to hit that 30 FPS sweet point, whereas the Series X is going to hit that 60 FPS sweet point. It's already been said to be 60 FPS. At least that's what I've read. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I will see you in the next one.